What up, nerds? Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Heather and as always, I'm reading with a vengeance and I hope you are too. If you're unfamiliar with that intro, that is the intro given by Lezlie over at The Nerdy Narrative. If you don't watch her videos, you're missing out. She is a lovely, lovely woman who I hope to one day meet and have a cocktail with or a cup of coffee. We read slightly different genres. There are some that overlap, but she has personality for days. If you like my channel, there's a really, really good chance that you'll like her channel. And if you're looking for this kind of vibe, but with different genres of books, then head on over and watch her channel. You won't regret it. She is an absolute delight. And I wanted to pay tribute to her because she did the very, very same for me. And I know she didn't do it so that I would do it back, but I still wanted to give her the warm, fuzzy feeling that she gave me when she shouted me out in one of her most recent videos. So if you like my intros, you should go check out I think her May wrap up, where she kind of does an homage to my videos. And it was just such a lovely treat. So thank you, Lezlie. I absolutely loved it. And again, I will link her channel down below. Go check her out. She is just so much fun. So as per the thumbnail, I have some books to talk to you about. Yes, I have a haul. Now, if you've been watching me for a long time, you know that I just don't buy books indiscriminately. Not to judge those who do. It's just not my thing. I don't accumulate books. I don't have a huge library. I like to read books and then pass them along. So I don't hold on to books. There's a few exceptions. I have my collection of To Kill a Mockingbird books and then a couple of other exceptions as well. But since I started working at a bookstore, I have accumulated books, not that I've purchased, but that have come to me cost-free. And here's how, because it's more than one way. Actually, there's two ways. So the first way is if there are any books that are damaged for some reason, damaged to the point where we really can't sell them, then they get put in a box and they are donated. However, we get kind of first dibs as employees and we can read those books and then donate them. So I have picked up some books that way. Also, I have access to ARCs all the way up through November, December, and January of next year. So every month there are ARCs that are made available to us. Now, it's not like we get those books just willy-nilly. We are kind of asked to read those books and give an honest review on the website Edelweiss that is made available to us. So there is a give and take there, but still, I get books, A, without breaking the bank, and B, before anybody else gets their hands on it. So I feel very, very lucky to have that opportunity, and so I'm here to share those books with you. It's a pretty healthy stack. I'm guessing that I will continue as long as I work for the bookstore on a monthly basis. I will accumulate books, ARCs, damaged books that are going to be donated anyways. So this might turn into a series of a monthly haul. They're not all going to be stacks quite this big. I don't plan on accumulating this many books. This is probably a little over a month. And also it's way more books than I could read in a month or even 2 months time. And I just don't want to accumulate that many books because what will happen is books will get forgotten about, and these are books that I want to read in the very near future. Anyways, without further blather, let me share with you the books. This is the one and only exception to the other books that I've accumulated. I actually bought this book. This is the one book in this stack that I have purchased, but this has a little bit of a story. So when I read the first in this duology, this is the Monk and Robot duology. Let's get this one. So when I first read this one, I fell so in love with it. When I read it, I actually checked it out from the library. And once I did read it, I loved it so much that I had to have my own copy, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And I just delayed and delayed and delayed to order it from Amazon. I just didn't want to do that. But finally I found it at a bookstore and I purchased it. And then when I found out the second one was going to come out, I was so, so excited. And as soon as it came out, I purchased it because I knew I wanted to own this duology. I actually bought this before I was able to get this one. So that was kind of a weird chain of events, but I bought this when we were still living in our RV and I stored it there while we moved. And when we went to get the rest of our stuff out of the RV, the original copy that I had bought suffered water damage. I mean, it was completely soaked and ruined. I was heartbroken. I can't even begin to tell you how sad it made me. And then when I started working at the bookstore, they had a copy, and it was one of my first purchases that I got with my employee discount. So this was my most recent purchase from the bookstore that I work at. So now I have my set, and I'm super happy I have my set. Okay, so this next book that I got my hands on, it was an ARC, but it was an ARC that I saw was available like days before it was published. I picked it up anyways because it's a chunky book and I knew my husband was going to want to read it. I actually brought it home for him, and that is The Ferryman by Justin Cronin. Now, Justin Cronin wrote the Passage series, and my husband read those, and he really, really enjoyed them. He said that I will enjoy them, and I will eventually read them. I think I have the Passage somewhere. I'll get to it. And so I brought this home for Jason, but when I read the synopsis and then I talked to one of my coworkers who read it as an ARC and she absolutely loved it, I'll probably get to this as well. Quick synopsis. The island of Prospera lies hidden from the horrors of a deteriorating world. There, the lucky few enjoy long, fulfilling lives before retiring themselves, embarking on a ferry ride to a clinic where failing bodies are renewed, memories are wiped clean, and life starts afresh. Proctor Bennett is a ferryman, gently shepherding people through the retirement process and, when necessary, enforcing it. It is a life of perfect ease until the day Proctor gets the summons to retire his own father, who gives him an ominous and cryptic message before being wrestled onto the ferry. Now, in a race to unravel the mystery of his father's final words, and beset by disturbing visions, Proctor suddenly finds himself caught up in a burgeoning revolutionary movement and forced to question the very nature of the sheltered world. Sounds fascinating. So eventually I'll get to this. My husband will probably read it first, but that's okay. These next three books I featured in one of my recent videos, my most recent books that I'm super excited to be published. And it's so funny because I didn't even think about it until after I recorded and published that video to check on our ARC shelves at work to see if some of these books that haven't been published yet are made available to me. And sure enough, the next day I went into work and three of the books that I talked about in that video were on the shelf and I grabbed them so fast. They are The Paris Daughter by Kristen Harmel, Ken Jennings' 100 Places to See After You Die, and You Were Always Mine by Christine Pride and Joe Piazza. So I talk a little bit more in detail about these books in that other video, which I will link down below. The Paris Daughter is historical fiction, World War II, about two women with their two young daughters in Paris. They're friends, but then when the Nazis come, one of the women has to flee Paris, and she leaves her young daughter in the care of her friend. And then after the war, she comes back looking for her friend and her daughter, and they're gone. I think the majority of the book is her searching for her friend and her daughter, and it takes her all over, I think, France, and then ultimately to New York City. So that one I'm really excited to read. Ken Jennings' book is a nonfiction, and it's kind of a 100 Places to See Before You Die, but the flip side of that, it's kind of popular places through history, pop culture, literature, through the eyes of, I think, real life and fictional characters. So Ken Jennings, if you don't know, he was the record holder winner of Jeopardy, and he now hosts Jeopardy. He's super funny, super witty, and he's written some other books that I didn't realize, and I think this one will be super, super entertaining. I'm super glad that I got a copy of it. And You Were Always Mine follows the story of two women, a black woman and a white woman, and the black woman finds an abandoned white baby and takes her into her home. We explore the ramifications that come with that. And then the white woman is dealing with an unwanted pregnancy and she has decisions to make. And these two women are unlikely friends and we follow their stories. Again, if you want some more details about what this book is about, that'll be in my other video linked down below. But I was super happy to get a copy of this. Okay, these next books I got because they were in the damaged box. So just to clarify, after I read these, I will put these back into that damage box so that they can get donated to where our bookstore donates books. The first one is Transcription by Kate Atkinson. I've only read one book by Kate Atkinson. I read Life After Life. I had an okay time with it. I didn't love it as much as so many people did, but I want to give her another chance because while her writing style, I'm on the fence about her writing style actually, and I just want to give it another chance because I was intrigued enough by Life After Life, but I felt like it was just kind of repetitive. So I feel like there's something out there by this author that I will really enjoy. And since I saw this one just sitting there begging me to take it home, I decided that this is the one. Not to mention its beautiful cover. I really, really was attracted to that, not gonna lie. So Transcription, 1940, 18-year-old Juliet Armstrong is an unlikely recruit into the world of espionage. Assigned to an obscure department of MI5, her job is to monitor the comings and goings of British fascist sympathizers, work she finds alternately tedious and terrifying. But after the war has ended, she presumes the events of those years have been relegated to the past forever. 10 years later, now working as a radio producer at the BBC, Juliet is unexpectedly confronted by figures from her MI5 days. There's a different war being fought on a different battleground, and Juliet is once more under threat. A bill of reckoning is due, and she finally begins to understand that there is no action without consequence. So historical fiction, World War II, dual timeline, right up my alley, right? Let's all keep our fingers crossed for this one. Next little gem I picked out of the box is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. Now, I haven't read her yet. Her other book, A Flicker in the Dark, was a book that I got a couple of months ago. I haven't gotten to it yet. This is an ARC, but this has already been published. This is marketed as a thriller, and so that's really my go-to genre other than historical fiction, so I couldn't not pick this up. Scorned wife, desperate mother, possible suspect. She is all of the above, and she will do anything to find the truth, no matter where it leads. Isabel Drake is living every mother's worst nightmare. 1 year ago, her toddler son Mason was taken out of his crib in the middle of the night while she and her husband were asleep in the next room. The case is cold, but Izzy literally can't rest until her son is found. To keep Mason's story alive, she stands in front of a crowded room of true crime followers and recounts the most painful moment of her life. Day after day, she has become a mother unhinged, especially when thoughts of her past make her question everything, even her own sanity. Memories can be distorted, and so can the truth. I feel like this is going to be one of those, unreliable narrator. But we'll see how that goes. This next one I picked up on a whim. I'm not sure if I'll pick it up anytime soon, but I'm intrigued, and that is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. By Mark Manson. Super popular as far as nonfiction goes, but if I'm being honest, I mean, the whole premise behind the book is something that I've kind of lived by for a really long time, and that is not focusing so much on being super positive all the time. I think that could be toxic. Let's see, for decades we've been told that positive thinking is the key to a happy, rich life, but those days are over. Fuck positivity, Mark Manson says. Let's be honest, sometimes things are fucked up and we have to live with it. For the past few years, Manson, via his wildly popular blog, has been working on correcting our delusional expectations for ourselves and for the world. It's probably something that I will be able to relate to, absolutely. Just some examples, the chapter names: Don't Try, Happiness is a Problem, You Are Not Special. If nothing else, I mean, I'm hoping there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek in here. We'll see how this goes. Have you guys read this book? I mean, I'm hoping it'll be entertaining. It's a fairly short book. It's barely over 200 pages. I could probably get through this. As a matter of fact, I'm filming this like 2 days before I leave for London. This might be a good one to bring with me and then leave there. We'll see. This next book I picked out of the Damage box because it was hardcover. It's her latest release, I believe, and I have not read this author yet. And I think I'm one of 3 people in the world who have not read this author yet. And that is Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes. I have The Giver of Stars on my TBR because it is a historical fiction, very highly rated. I really, really want to read that book. I don't know, I just thought this would be a good one to start with to get my feet wet with this particular author's writing style, and maybe that would kind of jumpstart me into reading some of her other stuff. Nisha Cantor and Sam Kemp are 2 very different women. Nisha lived the globetrotting life of the seriously wealthy until her husband inexplicably announced he wanted a divorce. and cut her off entirely. Nisha is glamorous, fearless, and determined to hang on to the life she has created for herself. But in the meantime, she must scramble to adjust to an entirely new landscape. She doesn't even have the shoes she was, until a moment ago, standing in. That's because Sam, at the bleakest point of her life, has accidentally taken Nisha's gym bag. But Sam hardly has time to worry about something as petty as a lost bag. She's struggling to keep herself, her out-of-work husband, and her sarcastic teenage daughter afloat. Or is it petty when she tries on Nisha's 6-inch high Christian Louboutin, I don't know, fancy pants, red crocodile shoes for a series of important meetings? The unexpected results give her a jolt of confidence that makes her realize something must change, and that thing is herself. When the two women finally meet, they will discover that each needs the other to put right the wrongs that have been done to them. And to the women around them, from Nisha's enterprising colleague, Jasmine, to Sam's steadfast best friend, Andrea. A book about women, their relationship with each other, their respective struggles, how they are different from each other but bond in other ways. I'm here for it. This might come sooner rather than later. Who knows? Famous last words, right? So the next books I'm going to talk about are ARCs that I've pulled off the shelf, or ARCs that have already been published, but once the publish date comes and goes, then those books also are donated. The first of which is The Lockup by John Banville. I have yet to read this author. Looks like he is a Booker Prize winning author. What else has he written? Let me see. He's got a pretty decent backlist. I don't recognize any of these titles, but that's not saying much. I guess it's the book The Sea, which won the 2005 Booker Prize. And then he's got a series called D.I. Quirk series, written under the pseudonym of Benjamin Black. So this one is marketed as kind of a crime detective novel. Let's see what we got here. In 1950s Dublin, Rosa Jacobs, a young history scholar, is found dead in her car. Renowned pathologist Dr. Quirk and D.I. St. John Stratford begin to investigate the death as a murder, but it's the victim's older sister Molly, an established journalist, who discovers a lead that could crack open the case. One of Rosa's friends, it turns out, is from a powerful German family that arrived in Ireland under mysterious circumstances shortly after World War II. But as Quirk and Stratford close in, their personal lives may put the case and everyone involved in peril, including Quirk's own daughter. If this is part of that series that I just mentioned, I have to check to see if I need to read others before I pick this one up. So yes, upon investigation, this is number 9 in the series. So I'll do a little bit more research. If it's one of those series that you don't have to read in order, kind of like the Harry Holy series by Yo Nesbo, I may read this anyways without reading the other ones. We'll see. But I couldn't help. I like a good crime detective novel, so I grabbed it. This next one had a very interesting cover, which is why I picked it up. It is going to be published on June 23rd. And that is Lay Your Body Down by Amy Suter Clark. She's the author of Girl 11. I'm not really familiar with that one. After Dell Walker fled her small hometown and its cult-like church, she vowed to never return. The man she loved, Lars, left her to marry the local golden girl, Eve, and their romance is now the focus of Eve's viral blog espousing the pastor's conservative philosophy about women and marriage. But 6 years later, Lars is suddenly killed and Dell is convinced it couldn't have been an accident. When Dell returns to her hometown for the funeral, she discovers the now megachurch and the insidious patriarchal teachings of Pastor Rick Franklin has grown not only in size but in influence. Eve was clearly unhappy in her marriage despite the carefully constructed noble wife positivity of her blog posts, and Dell knows better than anyone just how far she will go to get what she wants. Dell is determined to cut through the church's lies and corruption to find out who killed Lars, even if it means confronting the religious trauma she spent years trying to bury. This one sounds like a good one for people who like return to hometown mysteries, confronting your past. If you like cults, this one has a few nuggets that I think will interest a lot of people. So that one's coming out June 23rd. Very well-known author coming up, and that is Lisa Jewell. She's got a new one coming out in August. It's called None of This Is True. I know there's a lot of you out there that love Lisa Jewell. I've only read, I think, one by her. Is that The Family Upstairs? Is that Lisa Jewell? Yep, The Family Upstairs. And I feel like there's one other one that I read by her. I can't think of it, but she's got quite a backlist. Prepare to be hooked. The nail-biting suspense from the addictive #1 million copy best-selling author. Yes, we know. Celebrating her 45th birthday at the hot new local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summers, crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcast and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep going on the project. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie is hiding some very dark secrets. And before she knows it, Josie has inveigled her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she had arrived, Josie Fair disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives in grave danger. Okay, so this one sounds like bad things happen when you make really poor choices. I could be wrong, but I don't know. What do you think? Are you with me on this? It still sounds intriguing. I like a good stalker story, but we have a really, really popular author, a new book coming out. I couldn't resist to grab it. Finally, the last one I want to share with you. This book doesn't come out until January 2024. This one had kind of vibes of Megan Miranda and Mary Kubica, and so I couldn't resist but pick it up, and that is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This is a debut adult novel, but Ashley Elston, I guess, has written quite a few young adult novels. So the cover initially intrigued me, but then I read the back, and this one sounds right up my street as far as thrillers go. The identity comes first, Evie Porter. Once she's given a name and location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the mark, Ryan Sumner. The last piece of the puzzle is the job. Evie isn't privy to Mr. Smith's real identity, but she knows this job isn't like the others. Ryan has gotten under her skin, and she's starting to envision a different sort of life for herself. But Evie can't make any mistakes, especially after what happened the last time. Wonder what that was. Evie Porter must stay one step ahead of her past while making sure there's still a future in front of her. The stakes couldn't be higher, but then Evie has always liked a challenge. Okay, that sounds interesting enough, but it was the blurb that really pulled me in. The blurb is, Evie Porter has everything a nice Southern girl could want: a doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence, a tight group of friends. The only catch, Evie Porter doesn't exist. That one's exciting. Like I said, it doesn't come out for another 6 months. I'm hoping to read this well before that so that I can put a review up and talk to you guys about it and let you guys know if it's something that you'll want to pick up as well. So that is it. Those are the books that I have hauled, which, who'd have thunk it? I never thought that I would do really a haul video, but it sounds like if I'm going to be getting my hands on books for free, I might as well do haul videos and share them with you. Now, I know there was a good number of books that haven't been published yet in this stack, but there are a couple of books that have come out already, and of those, have you read any of those? I'd love to hear about them. Please tell me your thoughts, or you can just say hi down in the doodly-doo. If you're still watching at this point, please consider giving that like button a boop, and a subscribe would be wonderful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.